about the dangers of drug abuse. Despite the good intentions, Petkovich was fined $500 for stunting. Newsline caught up with Petkovich at the airport. He says the fine is a small price to pay for the message he was able to convey.
Obviously, you can see that the Daredevil act was very dangerous, very serious. We did put our lives on the line, but we also feel that a life of drugs within people in society is a lot more serious than the act that we pulled. Now that we do have the attention of people and that people see that how serious we want to get that message across, we feel that we can work from here on in.
Kingston Marathon swimmer Vicky.
Teaching kids about drugs. Why don't we send Noriega over the falls in a barrel? Boy, that was yeah, God, yeah. And on a sad note, ladies and gentlemen, gosh, hate to bring the crowd down. As you all know, Ferdinand Marcos passed away last week.
When we woke up to the news that 2 men had gone over Niagara Falls in a barrel, and they survived. I don't know why, but I'm fascinated by such stunts. They're foolish and foolhardy and, of course, threaten life, even more than they encourage others to follow suit. Others who may not be as lucky or as qualified as the people who just pulled it off. But pull it off they did. And one of them now is with me, Jeffrey Petkovich. Jeffrey, you arrived back in Ottawa after the whole experience yesterday afternoon. Welcome home, first of all.
Yeah, thank you.
And I don't know if you are somewhat surprised, but had we known you were going over Niagara Falls in a barrel last week, we would probably be surprised to see you alive and well. Do you feel lucky?
Yeah, I guess you could consider me lucky. Yeah.
Well, let's...
I mean, if you look at the circumstance itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Let's start the story from the beginning. Peter DiBernardi is a man who has wanted to go over the falls in a barrel. Did he call you, or did you call him?
No, he didn't. 19 months ago, he came up with the idea to go over the falls in a barrel, and he couldn't find anybody to build it. And he located one of my friends, and he had talked him into it, and it had taken a few months for him to talk him into it. And he finally agreed, okay, well, I'll get working on this barrel for you. So he had another partner, and he got cold feet. So the guy who was building the barrel was a close friend of mine, and I still hadn't known the guy who was going over the falls in the barrel. So
I had heard, though, that you were an easy sell, because you've always been interested in Niagara Falls and barrels, and you know the name of everybody who's ever done it.
Well, I was born and raised in Niagara Falls.
Yeah.
So, but anyhow, Peter was looking for a partner. And I can remember going out to the shop and seeing Dennis working on the barrel on a Sunday before I came back to Ottawa. And he said, don't even ask. He says, I know he's looking for a partner, but don't ask. So when I drove from Niagara Falls to Ottawa, I was thinking, wow, I got to get in that thing. And it took me a couple of weeks to convince Dennis that I was the man for the job.
Yeah.
And I finally did. And I still hadn't known Peter yet, and the barrel was just about complete. Dennis says, well, if it's all going down the right way, then you better meet Peter and I in Toronto. We're going to discuss the happenings from here on in.
So
I flew out of Ottawa and got to Toronto.
Now you don't train for something like that. I mean,
No.
I guess the first time was when you went over the falls.
Yeah, exactly.
Tell me about the inside of the barrel. Were you suspended in there? What was it like?
We were strapped in. Inside the barrel itself, we had inner tubes that were blown up with air. And I had a seatbelt that went across my waist, one across each shoulder, and one across my head.
Yes. So you were kind of like this, were you?
Lying flat.
Lying flat?
Lying flat with my arms suspended like this.
Like this.
Waist.
Now the barrel is round. Where was Peter? He was on the other side of the barrel?
Right. My feet are at one end of the barrel and his feet were at the other end, and our heads were together. Now,
so we saw the pictures. You're slid into the water upstream, and away you go. Now describe for me the feelings of floating and bobbing along there, and did you know you were coming to the brink and all that?
Oh, we knew we were coming to the brink because we could feel the barrel shaking and moving around, and we hit the wall. There was a couple times that we hit the wall was, you know, a real heck of a jolt, and it was like a long time going over. It felt like, wow, years. And I said, wow, you know, when is this thing going to end? And then all of a sudden,
going over meaning falling?
going to the brink.
Oh yeah,
itself.
Yeah,
and, you know, because we could see out the window, we could see the seagulls flying around.
Yeah.
And I'm saying to Peter, when in the heck is this thing going down? And then all of a sudden, we were gone.
Was it like a free fall, or was it
it was definitely a free fall.
Yeah, but was it? Were you bumping walls of water, or were you just falling in the air?
No, just falling in the air. Yeah,
and then you hit. What was that like?
Complete stop.
Yeah.
Stopped the barrel completely. We had a rock the size of a house, and then the barrel just rolled over, and we sunk in the water and done a few more tumbles within the rock.
You hit a rock?
Yeah, yeah, we had a rock.
Well, what prevented you from being killed or crushed or?
I couldn't tell you. I think we had a special guy beside us that day.
You must have.
Yeah.
Now, so now was the breath knocked out of you? Did you have to give your head a shake? What?
No, no, we weren't knocked out whatsoever. We knew exactly what was happening. I knew the water was coming in when we sunk. And like we just shook, and then I had oxygen in my mouth. Right away, I grabbed for the two-way radio when we had surfaced. I pulled it off the side, and I radioed out to the crew members that we were okay.
Yes.
And Peter and I were talking at that point. We were both fine. Everything was moving just well. We had some pains, a couple aches in this, but nothing that you know, that you couldn't get over.
And then you bobbed along until ultimately you came to shore and you got pulled in.
Right.
The next thing, what? The cops were there with handcuffs, or?
Well, they weren't there with handcuffs because, I mean, just the hype itself, the emotional hype. You know, if you put somebody in handcuffs, we'd probably bust them off. But no, they were there, and they handled us fairly well at that point until they went to the media on the story themselves.
Now, this is a little bit of a confusing part. A day or so later, the story surfaced that you had a message about drugs to deliver and draw attention to anti-drug use. Why, in fact, wouldn't you have said that beforehand? Why not have said, hey, we're going over the falls to fight drug use. Come and watch us.
Yeah. If you know my family, there's absolutely no way that was going to happen. Absolutely no way. Where we had the barrel, we always had my name covered up on the barrel itself, so nobody knew. And where the barrel was being built, there was close people that were working in that shop that were close to my family, so we couldn't get it out, because if my parents found out, it would be all over.
Yeah.
But Peter, he did go public on the message itself, but people were not following it for the fact that it is an illegal stunt.
Yes.
Okay, and the dangers that are involved in it.
In terms of legalities, very quickly, if you're convicted of all of this stuff, what's the worst can happen to you? Fined?
Yeah, I have a $503 fine to face, and Peter has $1,500 fine to face.
I am going to steal a little extra minute because I do want to find out, and all joking aside, you're a big man. You're well over 6 feet and heavy and strong and solid. When somebody like you says he's scared of his parents, and you've told me that on the phone, and I don't blame you, I'd be scared of my parents too. Your dad a big boy?
No, he's not.
He's not?
5'9". He's fairly broad-shouldered, but no.
But when he points the finger and says you're a jerk, you're listening.
Oh, yeah, you got that right.
Are you going to be able to make peace with him altogether?
Well, we haven't really spoke yet, you know, deep down, like father to son, on that incident or on anything else, but I'm sure we'll be able to sew it up.
As I've said before, you're probably stupid to have done it. I hope nobody follows in your footsteps, but God, I was intrigued. Jeffrey, thank you very much.
Quite welcome.
We shall return right after this.
Adventurous? Well, it's suicidal. Well, why not ask one of the two men who won a place in the record books last week for their daring stunt? Jeffrey Petkovich of Ottawa joins me now. Jeff, we'll get to the pictures in just a minute, but which of those three words would you pick?
Probably gutsy.
Why did you do it?
Why did I do it? Good question. When I first met Peter, he wouldn't take me on as a partner unless I would support his anti-drug campaign when everything was over and done with. I thought about it and agreed with it and said, well, we'll take it from here.
Okay, we could roll the pictures now, and maybe you could talk us through what's going on here.
Yeah,
so
sure.
You see the barrel just going over the falls. Now, there you go.
Okay, we just come off the truck there, and we just splashed into the water. We splashed into about 5 feet of water, I guess, and that was a real heck of a jolt there. I felt more of a jolt right there than I did hitting the bottom of the falls. Now, right there, what you're seeing is we're at the bottom. We're in an eddy, and the eddy is where water is just in a complete twirl. Where you see the barrel there now, the barrel, I believe that's Peter coming out of the barrel now. Yeah, that is Peter coming out of the barrel, or that might be me if I have a cowboy hat on. I can't see too clearly.
No, they're going to end now in a second there. Where we go, that's all the pictures that we had of that.
Okay.
The scene that you were telling me about earlier was inside the barrel. Rock music, lots of screaming.
Yeah, exactly. When we were setting up our audio stuff for the two-way radio, I said, well, we might as well put in a Walkman, set up some speakers to the Walkman, and we'll get a tape recorder in there. So we hooked that all up. The music that we played, we went over with David Wilcox, Riverboat Fantasy, and then when we finally calmed down and finished the screaming, we were at the bottom. Bon Jovi, Come On, Dead or Alive. Then we had some Springsteen, The
You
River.
couldn't figure out which you were.
Yeah, well, we knew we were alive, but A friend of mine just cut up that tape, and we just played it. And that's what he wanted. So
I think it's obvious to say that you were probably very frightened during it. We're talking now.
you say I was frightened?
Oh, I mean,
Yeah,
try to
no,
relay
no.
that to us. I want to get a
Sure.
sense of what was going through your mind.
Okay, I didn't really get scared until I hit the water. Okay, until I come off the truck and hit the water. I said, holy moly, what a jolt. Okay, and then when we were bouncing off the wall on the rocks, and well, we were prepared for that, but there was quite a jolt. But when we started to fall, when we just hit the brink itself, we knew we were going down, and then just the mental work took right over.
No, I understand you hit a rock.
Yeah, we hit a rock the size of the house at the bottom. That was the only thing that we were really worried about with the whole deal. We knew with the crew members and the way that the craft was built that we had no problem. We don't want to hit that rock. But we hit the rock, and we're very fortunate. Very fortunate.
What kind of precautions did you take? What kind of barrel was this? I mean, to hit a rock and survive?
Yeah, well, the barrel was built from armored steel. And then it was, around the armored steel, we had 8 inches of, it was like a styrofoam cork. So if the barrel went down so far below the falls that it would pop right back up, okay? And then around the styrofoam cork, we had sheet metal, and then we had advertisement and people's names on it, okay? And that got all ripped to shreds, as you could see at the bottom when you see the picture of the barrel itself.
The account that I heard, and I laughed when I heard it on one of the U.S. stations, that you were seen stepping out of this barrel in a cowboy hat, boots, and nothing else.
Yeah. Well, no, you forgot one thing. I did have I had a shirt on and a tie. I was below the shirt. I did have shorts on when I was put in the barrel, but I'd taken them off because I had a knife that was in my pocket, and I figured that because I had a lot of pain in my thigh, that I'd punctured my thigh. Now, what I could have done was just went with my left hand to feel the thigh. I couldn't do it with my right, and just bring it up to my face to see if it was blood or not, because we were soaking wet. So my partner said, well, take your shorts off. So that's exactly what I did right away. I took my shorts off. We inspected the shorts and didn't see anything. Then when the hatch, when we opened up the lower hatch, I didn't have any room to move because I only had another foot to get out of this thing. And so I'm telling Dennis, which was a crew chief, I'm trying to get my shorts on. He says, well, the hell with the shorts, get out. So I climbed out of the barrel. And then we climbed back in and got the shorts and put them back on.
All right. Thank you very much for coming in, and we'll wait to see what your next stunt is going to be. Thank you very much. When we come back, diuretics and high blood pressure. We'll find out more in our weekly appointment with Midday's Dr. Ian Wolf.